Hi, Hardline audience. I'm here with the directors and some cast and crew members from UNEARTH, our opening film at Hardline Film Festival. So we have the directors John and Dorota with us. We have actress Alison, and we have from makeup and special effects Doug and Steve. So when I saw your movie, I was very moved personally because both my parents grew up on small farms and I still have family doing this for a living. And I know of all this struggling they have in these crazy times we have right now. So I was wondering if you also have a personal connection like this to this topic, or what inspired you to make this movie?
Sure. And thank you first, Kerstin, so much for having us, Kerstin and Flo and the whole Hardline team. It's an honor to be part of your opening night. So the story definitely comes from, Allison and myself and some other members I know of the cast. Grew up on farms, grew up in the country, in the woods, small towns. So we know about the struggles that you're talking about and the difficulties. These are people who feed us, and they're very important. They face a lot of hardship, and we thought it was important to spotlight their struggle. The struggle of the common man, so to speak. And we feel it's a relatable story. For sure, especially now with a lot of unemployment and people struggling to pay the bills. Farmers have had these struggles for a long time. So yes, it was a very personal story, and we wanted to pay respect to those farmers and those communities.
So, John and Dorota, you're the directors of this film, but you're also husband and wife. Does it make it easier to work together, or is it sometimes maybe even harder?
Well, it is easy because you are not limited by time. When you work with somebody who is just your regular working partner, you say bye at the end of the day and you on your own. But in that kind of relationship, you basically can discuss and work on this product 24/7. And it's easier to understand your partner. It's not available all the time, and you understand his passions, and you share those same passions, and you see the one thing in common you can fight for. And that's really important, because when you have two people engaged with the project same or similar way, that's really helpful to work on that project. And it's also has bad sides too, because when you work with somebody, there are ugly and sides of that. You may not necessarily be with your work partner all the time, right? It's not necessarily a good thing also. So it's like good and bad, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. I think, it's all about partnership, of course, and you try and keep work and personal time separate as much as you can. But, Dorota and I have been living the world of UNEARTH for, this is 7 years now of our lives. It's a celebration now of all the struggle and the hard work for you and your audiences in Germany to be able to see the film. But having a good partner and supporting each other is definitely key, of course. And that goes for, everyone in the cast and crew. You need those good partnerships and trust to be able to pull something off, like making a movie. As crazy as making a movie, you have to support each other. So.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, but this movie is your first horror movie, and you could have made it as a drama or maybe even a documentary. What made you decide to make it a genre film?
Try you first, John.
Sure. So I would say it's the idea from the film came from documentaries. Documentaries have covered the topic of fracking, especially in our state of Pennsylvania in the United States. There's been 2 excellent documentaries, Gasland by Josh Fox and Triple Divide by Josh Perbanik and Melissa Troutman that had strong influence on the story as far as telling it from the realistic perspective. I think the drama comes into play because the horror, the genre films, horror films, sci-fi, the films that I find that I revisit and love the most from genre have strong footing in character. The stories are related to character, strong themes, films with a message, or at least with relatable characters. So it was very important to have a strong cast. Allison and everyone in the cast, to bring these characters to life in a realistic, dramatic portrayal. And we always knew that we wanted to make a genre film because we feel that this subject, fits well for horror. In real life, the results of fracking can be horrific. People suffer, cancers and skin diseases and breathing problems. So it really fit with the horror. And, we knew when we were talking to Steve at Tolin Effects very early in the process. I think we talked to Steve maybe 2 years early. Steve can back me up on that. But, it was very important to even make the practical effects based in reality as well, so that they would feel, I believe, maybe more approachable and as realistic as we possibly could, so that the horror would maybe have more of an impact.
Yeah. So
I
sorry.
also wanted to add that the topic of fracking, it's by itself not really attractive topic to watch as a movie. We can create another documentary and probably no one will want to see it and learn anything. And I think this genre is it's better medium to express that actual issue than just putting in another documentary or another drama. I thought we need a little bit more twist to that.
Yeah. So we have Doug and Steve here, who were responsible for the practical effects and also the makeup. And there's this beautiful body horror in this movie. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about the background to that?
Well, I'm not sure how much we can really talk about without giving too much away. But I can say that this film was really cool in the sense that we have a lot of really interesting blood practical effects. And like John is saying, the more that you can capture for real on camera, the more real it will feel for the audience. Since we're talking about real subject matter, even though it's in a genre capacity, it's important that the special effects feel genuine. But for me, I feel like the coolest part about the project was the idea that we had those really cool bloody makeup effects, but that we also had a lot of miniatures that allowed us to explore technical and more specific technical elements in regards to using technology to simulate technology, and also being able to use clay and plaster and that kind of thing to create the more classic practical effects that you see on camera. The reason that's interesting to me is that, I consider myself to be equally right and left brain. So to be able to challenge both sides of my brain in that way through this project were really cool to me. Doug, that's you.
Well, as far as my end of the makeup, I grew up in a small farm town south of Chicago, Illinois, that was flat and all cornland. And although when I grew up, we didn't have fracking, the environment that we were in when we filmed Unearth was very familiar to me. And from a makeup standpoint and a character standpoint, like John just brought up, what we tried to do on our part of the film was to take the hard work of these farm families and show that through their progressive distress as we go through the movie, and show the amount of work and sacrifice that these folks endure on a normal basis, and then once put under some stress, become progressively worse. As Allison can probably attest, we used a lot of tanning, a lot of dirt. We put her through her paces.
There was a whole palette of spray dirt. Yes. I never knew there were so many colors of shades of brown. So
we made her many lovely shades of dirt.
About 50.
Alison, you started your career in modeling, and now you're more into acting. So what's more fun, acting or modeling?
Gosh, sorry, it cut out. This is to me, this question, yes? Yes. So my degree is in theater. So I started modeling very young, but I started acting also young. And the modeling was a great support financially to the acting, because as an actor, when you get started, you don't get paid a lot, and modeling paid me well. So I never have identified myself as a model, I guess. I'm an actor. So, but I have modeled, and I did it for quite a while. Now because of this film and some other projects, have started to step into producing and really being more active in creating the stories that I'm a part of, which I very much enjoy. So I think the creative end of producing, not so much the financial finding investors end of producing, but the shaping the story part, I'm really, really enjoying and want to continue to do more. But first and foremost, I'm definitely an actor. Yeah.
Okay. So here in this film, we have really these strong female roles. So is this something in particular that you like to be a part of?
Yes. So John and Dorota came to me quite early on in the project as well. And I came on board, and I had a writing partner named Kelsey Goldberg, who I introduced to John, and the two of them creatively, kind of worked the script. And I did a lot of notes on the script. So the character morphed significantly from where it started to really become more in tune with who I was, or who I would be, I suppose, in the story. For example, my grandmother was a photographer, and she photographed mushrooms in nature. And so we used that element in the story. And I even used her camera in the film. And also I have some family members who stayed home and kind of took care of dying grandparents. And so that was the reasoning why. And so I think I come from a matriarchal family. My grandmother had 9 children, and she was incredible. And they all, as John mentioned, are from this very rural farm town that we filmed in, actually, which was another reason I came onto the project, because we actually shot the film in my hometown. And, you know, I live in Los Angeles, so it was really exciting to be able to come to Pennsylvania, stay with my family, spend a couple months, you know, not only my family, but the local businesses in the area. The owner is my dad's best friend, or, you know, we had our key grip, who is also from the town. His family had a pizza shop. So it was really great to have it be kind of a community project in a way. And that was a big part of why the environmental hook was the first thing for me on this project. But secondly, absolutely was the kind of sense of shooting in my hometown, which was awesome.
Yeah, following up on that, John and Dorota. So the film was shot in Erie, so I guess close to Lake Erie, and this is not a place that is famous for movies that are produced there. So I guess some things might be way harder when you shoot in a location like that, but I guess it's also very nice to be able to work with the locals that you know.
Yes, because making a movie requires strong local support. And in this particular area, we have kind of not spoiled locals who are really welcoming and really interested in that kind of project. So we got a lot of free help, a lot of enthusiastic talents we never knew we have. So that's the good side. And of course, there's the beauty of the landscape and those locations and those benefits, but also cons such as difficulties with equipment, which we had to get from Pittsburgh or from LA. And we also did some from Erie, but the most crucial was from LA or Pittsburgh. So those are kind of challenges you had to battle doing that kind of project. But we somehow were able to gather everything what was needed. We did had some issues with equipment. We did have some problems with getting proper lighting, so we really had to improvise, making the whole experience more difficult. But overall, yeah, it was a good experience overall after all those challenges.
The struggle was real, but the rewards were great. I mean, it'll really all, just to piggyback on what Dorota was saying, you know, it all depends on the grit and determination of your cast and crew, really. You know, we shot in just 18 days. So as everyone on this can attest, that was a lot of long hours, and we asked a lot from everyone. You know, not everyone made it the whole way through the journey, but everyone that did, you know, we are extremely thankful for, and the community support as well. I mean, the film looks amazing, and everyone did such a great job, and we had very little resources, so it was really all dependent on the talent of the cast and crew.
Yeah. I read at some point that Chuck Palahniuk, the author of Fight Club, has a connection to that film. Would you like to share that story with us?
Sure. So there was a long time ago now when when Fight Club was first adapted by David Fincher, Chuck Palahniuk started to have a following, a cult following, and there was a website called The Cult, which was run by now filmmakers Dennis Widmer and Kevin Kolsch, who did the Pet Sematary remake recently. And we became friends with them. And actually, Chuck came to Erie, Pennsylvania, actually to Edinburgh University, and they were filming a documentary. And I just ran some camera for them on that documentary. But we met Chuck in the process. And Dorota and I have been in touch with him ever since. He is very gracious with his time, and he always gives us feedback on our projects. So when we were working on, when I was outlining the film in 2013, just running ideas off of Chuck, and he thought that the idea was fantastic. And to use metaphor and symbolism in the story to, kind of relate to past classics of, like giant spiders and pesticides giving us the shrinking man and things of that nature. So every part plotting along the story and the characters, it was just making sure to connect that to, symbolically to the theme and character and things. So yeah, Chuck is, he's a fantastic author and a great help, great friend.
When we saw your film, we had the feeling that it also fits very well to like the whole situation we have right now in this world, where we also have like this strange virus coming from somewhere, and all of society is kind of have to deal with that. So do you feel the same, that it kind of now gets even another level of importance, your film?
The timing's interesting. Yeah, of course, the fear of the unknown, I think, is something, that genre film does fantastically. And it's definitely a part of our film. We show Doug and Steve's work as much as possible. But we do kind of, pull back and try and maintain some of that mystery, because I think that's scary. I think we're all experiencing that in the world today. We don't have all the answers. We don't know 100% where this came from, and how we don't know all of the details, right? So in the story of Unearth, things are unfolding in real time, and these are the first people. This is kind of like ground zero for this situation. So I think we didn't know we would be opening Unearth during a pandemic. With all the other challenges that the film's gone through, it seems appropriate that, we would just have one more. Maybe everybody wants to comment on this one. I'll jump out.
Sure. I just wanted to add that the story shows struggling families, and that's kind of really relates to present times when we have a lot of struggling families without jobs and without able to pay their mortgages or rentals, and similar to the characters of the movie. And also we have situation when we basically know, but we don't necessarily can take everything for granted. Like in February we live normal lives, and then boom, something happened and we don't live normal lives anymore. Same in the movie, they live normal lives and something weird happened. And now the question if the consequences of those events in the film are done or they will be continuing. So that's a kind of, a very interesting time that the film, it's not, maybe it will be taken more seriously, not as just a fantasy, because now we can see it's possible. Maybe not exactly the same as was in the film, but it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also there's something to be said about the connection between the struggle for power and money that man seems to find themselves in struggle with all the time, and how God will use Mother Nature to right the ship when it's necessary. I think we see that in this film, and I think we see that in our world today.
So I'm afraid with so many interesting people in one room, time's already up.
Yeah.
We have to end this now, but feel free to share any final words you have for our audience.
I mean, I would just say, if you want more information, to stay in contact with us, our website is unearthmovie.com. And maybe you guys want to plug some of the stuff you're working on, but thank you so much for having us.
I wanted to say that's a message for all women out there. come over and see the film because this is about powerful and strong women. Women in charge.
Okay, so thank you all so much for taking your time for this. And all of you, stay healthy, stay safe, and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.